we're playing this piece at the Granger Museum on the 9th of November, and the Free Music #1 before it on the theremins, and I'm giving a paper on our approach at the Musicological Society conference in December. But Decibel are also playing here in Sydney on the 6th and 8th of November. None of the works from this exhibition, however. So that concludes my talk or demonstration, I guess, about the works that we've performed in the past. I know I haven't covered all of them, but I think I've touched on almost all of them briefly, except for the two over on that wall there. The one on the very big video screen is by a project initiated by Nigel Hellier, and he worked with marine biologists in Tasmania who were using these images are basically how they represent scientific data visually, and he was interested in whether musicians could use this complex data to create musical works, and the score on the right hand side of the screen is what he derived from those images and has been performed several times by musicians in Tasmania and elsewhere. The work on the right is by Sam Gillies, who's a graduate from WAPA, one of my students who, that's a piece for ensemble with electronics, and it's an interesting example of using traditional music notation with graphic information. A lot of kind of scratchy signs for laptop instruction. And actually even the music, traditional music notation in that piece looks unusual because it's not made with a music program, it's actually drawn out in a design program called Illustrator. Lee came and did an artist talk about her piece earlier in the project, and there's a score of mine on the other side which gives you an idea of what the work looks like as a one piece, but is not the material that's used for the performance. So what we're going to do now is perform this piece by Anita Hustis, and while Mark's getting a few things together, I'm just going to introduce it a little bit. Anita is a double bass player and composer living in Melbourne, and this piece was commissioned for Tim and Maddie is how I know them, Tim Humphreys, and their group premiered it. And what's involved in this piece, and you see there's the score is actually in the window there, with what you need to do is cook some fortune cookies according to Anita's mother's Lithuanian recipe. So if I look tired, that's because I was up late last night baking cookies. And I've never got it as good as I'm sure they're supposed to be. And instead she provides you with musical fortunes that you put inside them. So when you bake them,